So I got the gauge cover off. I had a hard time figuring out how to get this knob off to set the clock. So if you ever work on one of these, you have to clean out this hole in there because it'll be full of fry sauce, ketchup, hamburgers, boogers, whatever. And you have to use a real small flat blade on that. And that threads on the end of the shaft here. These gauges, if you buy them individually, like Speedo, Tack, the clock, you're talking $299 to $399 a piece. So I'm going to clean all my stuff up. Now my clock doesn't seem to work, so I'm going to have to take it out of there, take it apart, see if I can get inside and see what's wrong with it. So I got the clock working. I poured alcohol over the back in there trying to get it cleaned out. And then once that kind of goes away, it quits working. But this is the electrical mechanism that winds it. So every time it goes around maybe a minute or so, and this contact comes up to the other contact. And then if you put juice to it, it goes whang and wind it around there. And that'll reset the tension on it, and she'll go again. There it's running. So check this out. So I'd poured alcohol all over the gears and stuff, and then it would only go just a little bit and then stop and stall out. And it's been sitting on the bench here for a couple days now. So all the alcohol's dried out, and it just runs and runs. It'll run all the way till the contact comes to the other contact, and it's got to rewind it. It just keeps going. I fixed it. Woohoo! Okay, when I take the positive and put it on here, you're going to watch that deal right there wind around. So let me see if I can do this and hold it. Yep. And there we go. So let me hook it up. See if we're running. Yep, we're running. Okay, now, as that comes around, you're going to watch that contact come closer and closer. If I can hold still here. Okay, I'm going to pause it. Okay, we're getting closer. See that? It works. So I don't know what happened. I poured that alcohol in there to clean all the grit and stuff out, and then it didn't want to work. So I'm wondering if that alcohol didn't swell the gears up or something. Anyway, after it sat here for a day and dried out, now it's working. You can see as that gear's moving there, contacts get closer and closer. Bang. So I'm just going to leave it on here and see how long it goes. Make sure that it continues to run. Okay, she's been running for 2 hours and 10 minutes continuously. So I think it'll work. She's going back in the dash. Wow, look at that. A 0 mile 73 Challenger. This thing's never been driven. Look at that. 0 miles on all of it. So these are pretty easy to roll back and reset. You just have to be careful. You take the drum out. You see all those little deals that are down against the ledge there. Anyway, basically what I did is I took that drum out and I hooked it to my drill, and you hold The last two, these right here, the drum, the last two, and then spin it and let those go around backwards or forwards. I think I went to 99,990, 940 something, and then I just lined them all up and ran the drill till it turned over to 0. Not too bad. So now she's a 0 mile, one owner, clean one owner. All right, there we go. 47-year-old gauge panel, kind of restored, polished the gauge plastic cover that goes over it, cleaned up the switches, the wood, simulated wood grain. This panel was all loose, had to scrape all the glue back off that was on there. And actually I got out some lacquer thinner, and the lacquer thinner dissolved that 47-year-old glue, contact cement, and I got that all glued back down. So now we got to move on to the actual dash assembly. So my dash has got some areas that are going to need to be sanded down and painted. That piece right there, and where the door is, and this side piece. All the rest of this gets covered with plastic trim, but I need to just get it cleaned up. You can see all the dust and crap, sand. There's a lot of sand all over it was in there. And then my wiring, I don't really see anything wrong with it, so I think I'm just going to reuse it. I'll check it over good and reuse it, but I'm probably going to need to replace this control for the heating and the AC. And then the other thing was there was absolutely no vacuum lines in the car under the dash. I don't know if somebody had this apart before, but you've got to have the vacuum lines, and you got to know where to hook them to operate the AC system. So it looks like you got about 4, looks like 4 that I can see there, vacuum chambers to operate. But I've got to, my next deal after I clean the dash up is I got to get this box tore down. And it's pretty obvious the AC coil is gone. There's still a heater core in there, but if that's 47 years old, that's going bye-bye. Put the new foam on it and get it cleaned up really nice and reseal it. Oh, and I gotta have a new dash. You can buy a new pad for them, go the cheap way, but this one's in pretty bad shape, broke. Anyway, so I think you can get a new one, and then you just rivet your serial number tag on it, or you can send yours off and get it redone. So I'm not sure what I'm going to do there yet, but I want this thing done. I want to be able to drive this thing next summer. But most of all, I just want it out of the shop so I can have some room, work on other things like old Kenny's block, put the engine together. So I'm working on the Challenger tonight. Let me show you what I'm up to. Got my steering column out and my brake assembly, clutch lever assembly, and boy are my nuts blue. Oh, that's what, whoever put all that stuff together under there, that's what they were using for spacers. To hell with whatever the factory called for. Let's just put our blue balls in there. That's awesome. I'll tell you, I've never seen a mess like that. I haven't got a clue why this car had a clutch pedal in it and an automatic, because the tunnel was never set up for a 4-speed. Now it could have been a 3 in the tree, but as you can see, this piece here, look at that top ear, how bent and messed up that is. But there's no place in the firewall for those 2 holes right there on that bracket for the clutch lever. And that's the piece that holds that big nasty return spring. This is the spring they put in those babies to return the clutch. It's insane. Or no, excuse me, that's an assist. That's to help you depress the clutch. Anyway, there's no holes in here for that. So I'm at a loss. I'm not going to use any of that junk. I got a whole new pedal assembly from Silver Sport Transmissions when I put this Tremec in. But anyway, I am making progress. Oh, this car was always drafty over on the passenger side. Woo, there's a big old hole in it. I gotta fix that. So this is the support piece for the clutch pedals, brake pedal, steering column. And I don't know how it happened, but somebody tore out this top where this bolt hole goes. So I have taken and cut me a puzzle piece to go in there. I think what I'll do is go ahead and cut out, I'll get a 5/16 washer and make the rest of this hole and put the hole in it before I weld it in. Okay, I got my puzzle piece cut just exactly how I want it. I think I'm going to go ahead and tack it, and then we'll get the rest of this hole drilled out to 5/16, same size as these, and fix this baby right up. Okay, I got the piece in there and I've shaped it, welded it, cleaned it up, drilled the hole out, so I think we're good to go. But this is, look at how messed up this hole is up here. So it's got a big ridge on it. So I'm gonna have to get me some help, somebody to hold a backer on that while I take the hammer and pound this edge back in. Otherwise it's not gonna go up there like it should. So I'm moving along. I got the brake booster out. This is my deal that holds my cylinder, master cylinder for the clutch, and it's going to go right here. Apparently this is where your clutch linkage would go out. Anyway, you just take this plug out. So all I got to do is put it up here and drill 3 holes, and then that I can mount that. But I'm trying to decide whether I'm going to go to hydraulic brakes, use the power steering pump to run the brakes, or just get a new brake booster. I hate those great big ugly brake boosters in there, but I guess I got to see how much it's going to cost and what it's going to take to get one in there. So this is the master cylinder that went on it, and it's just an ugly old piece of crap. It would just be really nice to clean up that firewall and not have so much crap there, but I don't know. I just don't know what to do there. Help me out, would you? Help me out. Okay, so I took all these steering components out and blasted them, along with this outlet neck that goes on my little pump that I painted cat yellow over there. And then, you know all those air filters I burn? I went out and I took one and I made kind of a basket and threw all the bolts and nuts in there and just shook it around while I blasted them, got all them clean. So I'm gonna clean them up with some Prep Sol and get them primed, and then we'll paint them black. But this piece right here inside, down here, it was never painted from the factory. I don't know why they didn't paint them. They paint that, but they didn't paint this. It was super rusty in here, so I figured, you'll never see that, but I'll know that dirty rusty thing's in there, so I have blasted it. Okay, this is the backing plate where the vacuum booster bolts up, and I'm pretty sure I got to have it again. Otherwise, you're going to try to suck all them bolts and stuff through the firewall because that's not very heavy. Somebody already tried to suck them through the firewall, and so I had to take a hammer and beat them back down, but the holes are kind of messed up. So somebody, I can't remember who now, sent me these step bits, and so I'm going to clean that hole out with the step bit. The coolest part about going to this hydraulic clutch is I get to get rid of this over center spring that they put in for a manual clutch. Then this is the pin that it sets on. It's supposed to set in this groove here, but as you can see, it's not been in the right place for some time, been wearing quite a hole in it. So the pin I don't need anymore. I don't need those blue nuts and this silly bolt. Well, the bolt's probably one of the original ones that goes through there, but I have all the right spacers now, so I can get rid of my blue nuts. Okay, I think I got everything painted. I started to paint this backing plate, and then I changed my mind because I thought, well, that's going to go on the firewall. So I'm going to want to paint that the same purple as the car on that. So I'm not going to paint that black. So anyway, that's going to look good under there. Even though you can't see it, I know it's there, and now you know it's there. So before I put my clutch master or master cylinder in that elongated hole down there, I think what I got to do is get the brackets in and the pedals, and then make sure that the linkage is going to be on the right angle, because they said if you push on that master crooked, it's not going to last. So I want to make sure that's right. And then I need to get some thinner, some prep, I don't know, something that will take off whatever kind of glue they sprayed all over this to make that jute stick up under there, because I think that's all going to get the butyl rubber treatment. But I'll have to take the bare dash and kind of get it in here, probably put it back on the studs, and see how much clearance, where I can put it and where I can't. Maybe take a Sharpie and draw the areas that I can and can't put it. But I'm moving along. I'm going to get this damn thing done. I promise you, I'm going to get this done. Oh, also too, I sorted out what I'm going to do for brakes. So I am going to go with the hydraulic brakes instead of the booster. I just ordered this right here. This is basically a GM nitrogen accumulator hydraulic brake setup. I got it from a guy in Texas who makes the adapters for him. Anyway, these things will put up to like, I can't remember what it is, 17, 1800, 2000 PSI. And he said I could use it with my drum brakes on the back if everything is in good shape. If my lines are in good shape, everything's, in decent enough shape to handle the pressure. So we may be changing some lines and stuff, because I'm sure some of them are pretty rusty under there. And then I'll have to dig in there and see what shape the wheel cylinders are in. But it was $500, almost $600 for it, but I think it'll be well worth it. Anyway, it's way smaller. It'll be so nice to get rid of that great big thing. Ooh, what we got here? Hey, I want to really thank you guys that stepped up to help Shane. he's got his heat thing sorted out. He's got some cash in his pocket. There's been 3 people, generous people, that have sent more in the mail. Really want to thank you for that. That's going to make his winter much nicer. Appreciate you helping him out. Anyway, if it hadn't have been for his Ace Bonino attorney, Brad Parkinson of Peterson, Parkinson, and I don't know, whoever else in Idaho Falls, we wouldn't have to do this. So thank you, Brad Parkinson. Okay, so I got this top hole fixed. Remember how elongated and rolled out it was? So I had to take a big pair of channel locks and come in through here and get the part that was rolled up and bent in started. And then I took a stack of washers and I put a cat hard flat. You can see there's one under there. Put the hard flat against that and the other side, and then tightened it up and mashed it down. For the life of me, I can't figure out how this has been dinged, something fierce. This hole's been pulled. That one's been pulled. And then this plug hole, I'm not sure what happened here, but it's all bent right there. Oh, and that one's messed up pretty good. Okay, so I got my master cylinder in there. I haven't drilled the holes yet. I just got the linkage hooked up, and I got a wrench under the pedal to hold it up against the firewall so I could go look on the front there to make sure I wasn't having any clearance issues there. So I sandblasted this linkage. I should have done that when I was doing everything else, but I didn't think about it. So this pin right here is kind of a homemade deal. Looks like he made it out of a, multi-hold pin. I don't like that, and I don't like that clip on it. So I'm gonna go get me an OE style looking pin like this and put a cotter key in it. So I've got that ready to go in. And I got this firewall plate, support plate done. I painted that Barney purple. And remember I'd sandblasted this and I'd primed it. And then I started painting it black, and I went, whoa, wait a minute. I want that to match the firewall. So here's my other deal. So I'm looking at this brake booster and I'm going, how would that look in this purple? Thinking about painting it purple. What do you think? So this was the pin that went through here. And so you've got one hole out in there where this runs, and that's your brake. A lot of pressure on that. So we can't have that kind of crap in the Challenger. So I went down to the Case IH and got me a pin. I had to shorten it a little and drill a new hole, but nobody will see that under there, but I'll know it's there. So we got to have stuff nice here. Jeff likes shiny stuff. I have decided to go ahead and paint this purple. So I've taken off this bracket, and these bolts go through here to bolt that on, and I got to hand it to the engineers that did that. That's actually pretty cool. Come on, focus. So they put left-hand threads on the shoulder, and then it screws in here. That way, when you tighten these stay tight in there. They don't try to turn. But originally, he had the one cut off down, let's see, up on the top. He had it cut off because originally they have that on there, and that's what they look like. And they stick out that nice adapter 9 miles. So I cut it off and then took it over to the grinder and kind of rounded it off, because this will all get painted. This will be purple showing on here. Anyway, I think it dresses things up. It's the little things. It's the little things that make your car. Okay, so these are how the bolts go in there. And then this is the adapter. See, normally on a GM HydroBoost, those are your studs to mount your master cylinder in. But the reason he's built this is so you can clock this thing around away from the engine so you have more room. So it goes on like this, and then there's some nuts that go here, and then these are going to go in here like this, and then you've got nuts that are going to go on the backside, and that's going to bolt down your master cylinder. So this thing sits in the car like this with the accumulator facing up. So for those of you that don't know what a HydroBoost is, basically what this is you run power steering oil in, and then this fitting right here is the return. And your power steering it's got a piston in here, and this is what pushes on your master cylinder. So they say these things, with your engine RPM up, you can get 2,600 PSI of brake fluid pressure, which is just incredible. And so for a car with a high lift cam and a lot of duration, it really hurts your vacuum. Vacuum brakes, even if your engine doesn't have a high lift cam, still is not going to make the pressure these make. So this right here is a nitrogen accumulator. So when the vehicle's running, it's going to send power steering oil in here, and it's going to pump this up. And I imagine there's a check valve in here. So once it's pumped up, there it is, it's set. And so one thing you got to remember is when you lose your brakes on one with a HydroBoost, you got maybe 2 pumps of the pedal, and then your nitrogen accumulator is gone. You've used it all. So if it quit and you needed to stop, start pressing on the brakes. Don't let go of them. Don't pump them. Don't let them up, because you've only got like maybe 2 pumps of the pedal. Then your brake pressure is gone. So when the engine quits, this is going to power it. So just step on the brakes and get it stopped, or hold them in one position if you got to, continually brake for a long time. So with a vacuum setup, there's the vacuum deal on the bench there. With a vacuum style brakes, when the engine quits, your brakes are gone. That's just it. The vacuum's gone, no more brake. With a HydroBoost, you still have this nitrogen accumulator, and there's pressure power steering oil in here. So you are going to have brakes once. Once you let go of the pedal, then and you step on it again, this piston moves farther. So my experience with these is about 2 pumps. Use the brakes twice, this is gone. My Dodge Diesel has a setup like this on it. Got the brake booster all purpled up. That's going to look good in there. So I got the master cylinder off. I was just absolutely paranoid where the system was full of fluid that I was going to undo those lines and I was going to get brake fluid everywhere. So I texted Mike Weimer and I said, how do I do this? And he had a really good idea. He told me to put a plastic bag around it and then put some absorbent rags. So I did. I filled it with some of these blue shop towels and brought them up around the lines and packed some in there around the loop-de-loos and the brake lines, and undid it. And the back line, absolutely nothing came out of it. And the front line had maybe 1 drop, and it's not leaking at all. So that's a total relief to me, because I absolutely didn't want to get brake fluid all over my paint or headers. I was just really super paranoid. So thanks, Mike. So I want to get this HydroBoost unit in, but I'm waiting on Classic Industries to send me the gasket that goes on here. I haven't received that, but so I've decided I'm gonna go with a Bayer master cylinder like this. Only I'm trying to decide whether I want the polished one or the, I think they powder coat them. Anyway, they got one that's called a purple haze that would kind of match my paint. I'd really like to get that HydroBoost in, but like I say, I need the gasket. All right, I got the HydroBoost in. All I got to do is get me a master cylinder. The Mopar setup is a 4-bolt. I'm going to go to a GM type 2-bolt. And then I've got to pull the actuator rod out of here, and I've got a great big long one. It's a stainless steel one, and what you do is you, with the master cylinder, you find out how much preload, if any, or how much, in thousandths they want from the end of the piston to that rod clearance, and you measure all that up, cut the rod, and then round the end off and put her back together and bolt it on. So I just got to get that ordered. I got a whole bunch of stuff coming from Classic Industries, Firewall Gaskets. Man, I ordered so much stuff. I don't remember everything. All the little, see that piece there, that black one? I got those individual pieces that are going to come, and I'll put those up there temporarily so that I can put the sound deadener on. I might be able to put that on and then still get those in, not sure, but I'll have to mock everything up. That's one thing about building a car. You end up putting things on, taking it off, fitting, make sure that everything's gonna work. It's like doing it twice, but it's worth it. So moving along. I had to go into my local Ace Hardware and buy a 3/8 inside bushing, and it's got to go in here between the lever, the bell crank that runs this hooks to the brake pedal, and then this H-link assembly here runs up and goes into the HydroBoost. But it does this, and so I went and got this spacer, and I had to cut off 200 thousandths. So I'm going to put that in there and see how that fits. I don't know what they did from the factory. I'm guessing they had something in there, but it was gone. And that's where all the blue nuts came from. The guy, this is a 3/8 hole, and he had a 5/16 bolt with 3/8 nuts on it. So that meant this thing flopped around on the 5/16 stud. So I'm pretty anal, so I'm going to fix it right. Okay, I had to do one minor adjustment. I had to put a washer in here because inside this shaft is a 3/8 steel bushing just like that, and then some plastic inserts that it runs on. So I had to take another 70 thousandths off of that, and then that gives me just a little bit of play. But as soon as you put a nut on here, I'm going to have to put a locking nut, self-locking nut, because as you crank this down, it pinches this together. And so I'm going to want just a little bit of free play in there, I think. All right, so I got a lock nut on there, and I've got my free play down to just a little teeny bit. So I've got a washer on this side to run up against the plastic bushing, and then this one here to keep the insert from sliding through, because without that washer on there, this would just slide over off of the bushing in here and onto this one. So, and I needed that washer over here to center this. It needed to go over that way just a little bit, to center it in the HydroBoost. So one more thing out of the way. Okay, so I got a bunch of boxes from Classic Industries, and I ordered all kinds of stuff. Can't remember everything I ordered, but let me show you the back ordered stuff. And one of the things I think I've told you before, they had to back order like the plastic back there, those two pieces on each side. I've got the door panels, but they didn't have those. Anyway, they sent me an email and they said those are 3 to 6 months out, which is really discouraging. I don't know. I've had these door panels for at least a couple months. If it's 6 months, I'm just going to put it together and I'll change those out later. But there's a lot of stuff they don't have. One of them was the kick panels down here. And I believe, let me check, let's look. They have a hole in them for a speaker, and I can't remember if I got the ones with the speaker or not. Cause I don't want just speakers in the back package tray back there. I'd like to have at least 4 speakers, and I certainly don't want to cut a hole in these $700 door panels. So I'm gonna get this done. I'm gonna keep going on it. I need to order the master cylinder, but I can keep going on the interior. The stuff that showed up has got the gasket for my HydroBoost where it bolts on, and a bunch of the gasket piece or the insulation pieces that go in here. That way I can put them on, draw a Sharpie mark around them. And so if I don't want to put my soundproofing underneath them, then I can cut those areas out and leave them out. But this car's got to get done. It's just, it has to. I've put this off long enough. I can't work on old Kenny till I get this done. This has got to leave the shop. So anyway, I'm going to keep going. You're going to see some videos of me working on the car. If you don't like the car stuff, well, I'm sorry, but this has got to get done. Beep, beep.